For f of x equals x minus 1 and then plus 2, what is the new function g of x resulting from a vertical translation of 4 down? So a vertical translation of 4 down means you're taking f of x and then subtracting 4. So your g of x is simply equal to that. So what does this mean? Well, here's your f of x, absolute value of x minus 1 and then plus 2. So g of x equals absolute value of x minus 1, then plus 2, but then you're subtracting 4 from that whole deal. And you can use parentheses around here if it makes it easier. See, this is your f of x right here, this whole thing. And then you're subtracting 4 from it. So your g of x equals absolute value of x minus 1. So if you're plus 2 and then you're minus 4, so really you combine that and it's minus 2. So here's your g of x. It's equal to the absolute value of x minus 1 plus 2. Let's go ahead and graph and compare. So my f of x will be blue. And to get the absolute value, remember you have to go to the math menu, and then you have to go over to the number, and then option 1 here is absolute value. And then I have my x minus 1, and then plus 2. And then for the g of x, we were saying it is absolute value of x minus 1, and then minus 2. Okay, let's graph. There's our f of x, and there's g of x. So to go from the blue to the red, or from the f of x to the g of x, it is a translation of 4 down. You can just count that on the grid here. And if you want more verification, you can go to the table and then compare the outputs. So the outputs for f of x are right here, outputs for g of x are right here in red, and notice that the outputs for g of x are all 4 less, which means you're 4 down on the graph. So that's a translation of 4 down. Okay, so here's our function, vertical translation of 4 down.